Hey everyone, this is Mike Regan here with another edition of the Regan Rant. I'm not going to do the green screen like I usually do. I have some emails, and I think probably be the best way to do this is just to do the webcam like I did previously. Um, I got a couple emails, a couple things I do want to respond to and address to. Like I said, I do welcome the emails. Thank you. The first email, and I'll read it here. Hey, it's Auntie from the GR forums. A question I'd like to see to talk about in a GR8 podcast or possibly in a Regan rant is a portion of your time on the question: what do you see the future of wrestling games heading? Do you see the pipeline for American gamers to only have the WWE series to fall back on? Or do you see hope in the form of Japanese developers pushing future wrestling titles for American UK fans to import in the upcoming years? Good question, Auntie. Unfortunately, you're probably not going to like the answer. For the most part, I see zero interest in the Japanese development community to make wrestling games. Period. Um, there's a variety. There's a variety of reasons. Number one being is that Japanese pro wrestling is not as popular as it once was back in the early '90s, mid '90s. Mostly because of the talent that was hot back then. I mean, think about it. You have Misawa, you have Kabashi, you have Muta, you have Chono. I mean, Hishimoto, Baba. Most of them are either deceased, on the verge of retiring. Their bodies can't keep up with their performance from previous years, and or two just disappeared. Which is unfortunate. I mean, like I said, I think, I mean, if you look at my top 10 list of wrestling games, most of those games that are on my top 10 list were from Japanese developers and publishers, and based on a Japanese license, which is unfortunate. Um, there is a possibility in the future that Japanese wrestling may regain its popularity, regain its form, but until that happens, chances are we're not likely to see another Fire Pro game. We're not likely to see another Aki game. We're not likely to see another, for that matter, a Wrestle Kingdom game developed by Ukes. Highly unlikely because of the Japanese market. And keep in mind, Ukes as a game developer, as a game publisher in Japan, they own the majority of New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is the number one promotion in Japan um, currently. So if they're not interested in making a video game based on that property, which they own outright, then chances are, they're not. We're not going to see a wrestling game anytime soon. Um, Also, keep in mind is that the WWE games are sold in Japan and marketed as such as WWE games. So it's probably, I said, unfortunately, no. I mean, unless TNA gets with a good developer, who knows what they're doing, knows what wrestling games are, what wrestling game fans want, then the WWE product by THQ is basically the only wrestling game that you can have. Now, people are saying that UFC and to a lesser extent EA Sports MMA might be suitable competition. I mean, again, they're fighting games. I don't know if they're direct competition, but I mean, certainly, UFC is a quality title. 2010 is shaping up to be a quality title. I haven't played EA Sports MMA, but you know, certainly they do have a pedigree of making quality games, and certainly EA Sports, especially, is willing to put money behind that series to push it. So I mean, they're it isn't all doom and gloom. So yes, uh, basically, if you're a wrestling game fan and you're not really interested in MMA, the WWE games are your only fallback currently. Unless, of course, TNA comes with a wrestling game. But that's a story for another Regan rant. All right, another question here. This is from the Gaming Ring forums. I do get private messages from fans, and you can send them to me there as well. My forum name is Mike Regan, so I'm usually always on there. So if you see me and you have a question and you don't want to email me, you don't want to email me at my email address, you can send it to me there, whatever's easier. And like I said, I will respond to them. Or you can just send them to my YouTube channel, which, again, I'll respond to it. Anyway, why does it seem that THQ shies away from DLC when it comes to their wrestling games? Take SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, for example. All we got was a Stone Cold Steve Austin DLC, most of which have received us when we pre-ordered the game. I would think that THQ would take advantage of the feature to put in new moves for the game, add extensions to the Road to WrestleMania stories that are already in the game, add new WrestleMania stories with different wrestlers, add new wrestlers, etc. I can go on. For every other month, THQ could release a $7 or $9.99 DLC package that contain at least 2 new wrestlers, at least a dozen moves for the creative finisher and creative moveset, add extensions to the present Road to WrestleMania storyline 3 months after WrestleMania, add 1 new Road to WrestleMania story with a new wrestler. That would keep the storyline that would keep the game replayable and somewhat fresh until the next SmackDown vs. Raw game. Why do you think they keep shying away from the DLC? Well, my personal opinion on that is this: is that THQ for the WWE team is somewhat a small team. For the most part, you're talking a team that's basically their main focus is always going to be on the next game. And any DLC, any content like that has to be approved well beforehand, even before production sometimes, by the WWE, because they're that stringent on the licenses and the franchise. So that's possibly part of the reason, and another reason is that if they add all this content that you mentioned, if they add the new Road to WrestleMania and the new characters and the new moves, which for me, it's a good thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, but would that not take away from the next wrestling game, next SmackDown vs. Raw 2011? Possibly. I know people like buying it. I mean, people are programmed now by now that every October, November to expect a new WWE experience, and I know certainly WWE to a lesser extent or to a greater extent rather is looking forward every year for that SmackDown game to come out because it makes a buttload, mother freaking buttload of money every year. So with that being said, I don't expect DLC going to that route. I'm not really sure what happened last year with 2009 to their DLC. I mean, maybe they got a little gun shy after everything that happened. With the patch not happening, and then the DLC basically just being rather disappointing for the Xbox 360 fans. And unfortunately, THQ is not answering and responding to that either. They're not saying. So hopefully soon, we'll have information on SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, and I expect this year, honestly, that the online portion of the game is going to get it overhaul. I think it's due. Like I said last year, people were complaining that the online gameplay with the lag was broken. The sharing of creative wrestlers there was a problem with that, and I think overall, I think you're going to see wide improvements in that area, and going to be more than welcome. All right. That's it for right now. That's all the questions I have. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me. I do enjoy reading them. I do enjoy responding to them. And there you go. Be sure to check out the Gaming Ring WrestleCast, which is coming up this Wednesday. And also be sure to check out all the videos and covers that we have coming up for you. It's been pretty good fun doing the covers of the wrestling games. I enjoy capturing videos. And all right, have a good weekend, everybody.